listening to Dear Future Sam, a space for honest conversations about building a life and business that actually works for you and your brain. This episode is part of my series, If She Can, So Can I, where I chat with incredible everyday women about how they're building freedom-based businesses, rewriting the rules, creating income, flexibility and alignment on their own terms. I'm Sam, I'm your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Leah is just a few days away from celebrating her 1 year anniversary in the business, which makes it feel like such a special moment to have her on. She is someone who genuinely wants to help others, whether that's through her volunteering, her work, or the way she shows up in our community. And it's been incredible to watch her build something so aligned and intentional over the past year. I first met Leah in person at our event in Tenerife back in February, and then again just a few weeks ago at our business retreat down in Devon. I am always grateful for the connections that we make online, but there's something really special when they become offline ones too. We bonded over her beautiful tattoos, especially her Beatrix Potter one, which I was completely obsessed with. And I am so excited to learn more about her and her journey here talking today. One thing that really stands out about Leah is how she shaped her business around cyclical living. She is passionate about working with her energy and not against it, and building a life and business that truly honours her rhythm. I think that perspective is going to speak to such a lot of people, and I know I am very intrigued to learn more about it myself. Leah, thank you so much for talking to me today. I know it's going to be a really powerful conversation. So firstly, how are you?
Thank you. That was such a nice intro. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I have a day without the children, so it's nice and
Great.
quiet in the house. So I guess we can dive straight in with who are you, basically. I know I've summed up a little bit there, but there is a lot more to the story. So yeah, if you want to tell us a bit about yourself and what life was like before you decided to start this business.
Yeah, so I'm Leah, and yeah, like you said, I've been in the business nearly a year. And 1 year ago, I was working in retail on a 0 hours contract. It was very here and there, my income was very unstable, and I was just really looking for something that gave me more from life. And yeah, so I I found this business through my mentor Sandy, and then I was also looking into working somewhere else, somewhere that was more stable, something that was in education, because that's something that I'm really passionate about. And then it all kind of happened at the same time. So starting the business, getting a new job, and I bought a house at the same time as well. So it was a whirlwind. But yeah, so now I have my own business, and then I also am a learning support worker at a college for young adults with autism and other learning disabilities. So I'm yeah, working in SEND, which is really good, really challenging, humbling. I learn a lot every day. And yeah, I think like me before this business was like confident but not so sure on where I wanted to go with life, I think. And I think I had loads of dreams but no real way of achieving them. And now that I have the business, I just know that all of my dreams are or they're not even dreams anymore, they're just goals that I know that I'm going to achieve, which is so nice. So I guess I feel more sure of myself and my purpose and where I'm going in life now. And I think that is all down to the business. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you for sharing that. It's always really nice to hear where people were before they got started because we all have that moment where we were like, I think there's something more, there's something else for me here. And everyone's is so different, but all with the same thing of actually, this we have one chance here and I deserve more than, than this. And that's amazing. And your job, like you said, very humbling, but very challenging. So the fact that you're able to build this as well as doing something that's making a huge difference to other people is incredible. So yeah, I think that's amazing. So what made you take the leap? Was there one moment, a feeling, something specific that you were searching for when you got started?
Yeah, I think like we were just saying, like there's more to life than just working. And I think before I started my current job, I was like at uni and then I worked in retail and like hospitality and stuff, and it was all very like casual. I could like take holiday whenever I wanted, really, and like it was like flexible, which was great. And then when I started this job, it was like my first proper job with like a salary, and I was like, oh shit, like I really don't want to uh be doing this. Like because I work in education, I can only take holiday out of term time. And it's great that I get half terms off, but I want that cheap January holiday and I can't have that. And then also like the sick pay and all that contractual stuff that you have to adhere to. And like, yeah, I think all of that, like basically the system, can we swear? The
Yeah,
system.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think just how fucked the system is like my biggest driving force for this, and like getting that feeling of like, oh, there is another way of like living, and like we don't have to be in this system. And I think seeing so many women doing it. Like I was like joining the calls and stuff before I affiliated, and I was like, okay, no, this is real. Like I can do this, and lots of people are doing it, and it is scary, but that's okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's that feel the fear but do it anyway type type
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So I would love to know what your journey has looked like so far. Have you felt any personal shifts? Have you learned any unexpected lessons? Or have you had any favorite moments in the past year since you started?
Yes, yes, and yes. Yeah, so much personal growth. I think um, becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own business is like therapy on crack. Like you just are faced with yourself every day, and showing up for yourself every day is difficult, honestly. But yeah, I think so worth it as well. Like thinking about the future and what you want your life to look like is really what kind of gets you through, isn't it? And then yeah, I think some of the best moments.
Yeah, favorite moments, best moments, anything.
Yeah, it is just all of the in-person meetups. Like Tenerife was amazing. I loved that. I think when I arrived in Tenerife, I was like, I don't belong here. This is crazy. And then when I left, I was like, okay, no, like you do belong here. And like the imposter syndrome has slowly left. I think I definitely have imposter syndrome of like being an adult and like owning a home and owning a business. I'm like, who's allowing me to do this?
I
Like,
have those moments where I'm like, I look at my children in my house and I'm like, who's in charge here? Surely it cannot be me. It's so strange.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Like, I don't know if I could have children purely for that. Like, the responsibility is insane. So yeah, hats off to you for doing that. I'm sure it's so worth it. But yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that like there's always more growth you can do. Like, I've always been a very like happy person, very positive, like I love life. And I think when I started this business, I was like, oh, I've got the personal development side down. Like, don't even worry about it. But there's actually always so much more that you can do. And yeah, you can always be happier. You can always do better. I think it's also important to recognize like where you're at and celebrate all of the wins and stuff, but also knowing that like for your business to succeed, you just have to constantly work on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's that thing of like every level has a new devil almost like you
Yeah.
say the imposter syndrome. I experienced that quite badly, but I also know people who've been in this business for like 5 years or people who are kind of entrepreneurs and have been for a long time, that kind of thing. They still step into a room and think, I'm not sure I belong here. And then like you say, a couple hours in or a couple weeks in or a couple months in and they realize actually the room's changed or they're now the ones that are leading that room and things like that. And it every step has that different like, oh, this is uncomfortable, but I can do this. And
Yeah.
it's stepping into that and realizing that if you want it badly enough, which all of us do, it is
Yeah.
possible. But yeah, like you say, showing up for yourself every day is a big task. It doesn't just come all of a sudden like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, I know how to do this. It's a lot of lessons,
Yeah.
a lot of stumbles, and a lot of kind of trying and failing and trying again. But
Yeah.
that's what we all have in common is that kind of determination that it's like, I'm not going to give up. I am going to keep going and I am going to live that life that I deserve. And yeah, it's amazing to have that opportunity. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited about asking you this question because I know that you do kind of adopt a lot of kind of like the cyclical living and stuff like that in your life now. And
Mm.
I wanted to ask you how has being a part of the business supported your life and your goals and your confidence? And I feel like all of this stuff kind of intertwines because that is such a huge thing for you. Is you're able to build your life now on that rhythm that suits you. And I think as women, I recently have learned so much about how important it is and how we really should like plan our time with our cycle and how our energy levels are different. And it's not just that, oh, I get a bit grumpy and hungry on these days and the next day I'm absolutely fine and think I'm like a goddess. There's a lot behind it. And I'd love for you to share how you're able to build that into your life and how doing it alongside business and entrepreneurship is allowing you to do that.
Yeah, I think starting the business, you kind of like find your purpose for life, I suppose, and like you want to find your people. So I think I kind of realized that slow living, syncing up with my cycle is how I want to live my life after I started the business. And then I was like, it makes so much sense. Like I was having like really bad PMS, not like what's the really bad one?
Oh,
That
it has a, I know it has a name and I can't remember what it's
you
called.
know, that one. I
Yeah.
don't have that
Yeah.
because I don't want to like, say that I have something that I don't. But it was really bad and it was happening every month. And I was like, there must be a reason for this. And I think just being aware and like tracking your cycle is the biggest thing that you can do because it makes you be kinder to yourself. And like, if you know that you're like due on, which is like your luteal phase, if you know that you're going into that phase, you can like preempt things, you can make plans that are like working with your energy levels, not like filling up your calendar and being like, I need to do all of this, this, and this, because you're not going to be able to do it. Or if you do it, then you burn yourself out and it's just not worth it. And yeah, doing this business is like, okay, I am going to be able to completely structure my life around like my cycle and my energy levels and like nature as well, and like living like differently in summer than I do in winter because summer I'm more social and I want to be outside more. Winter is like rest. I want to be inside and like crocheting and reading and like hibernating almost, you know how like the animals do. And having the business is such a good way to be able to do that because we can work from anywhere. Like we can choose how we work each day as well. And I think being able to structure like our days and the tasks that we do, and there are some times in my cycle where I'm feeling more creative, so I know that I can do like Instagram posts and ads and stuff like that on those days. And then on the days where I don't feel creative, I don't need to force myself to be like that. And I think that's just what it's all about for me, like working, like you said, with my energy and not forcing myself to do stuff if I know that I'm not going to be able to produce good work in that area and just working to my strengths. And yeah, tracking over time helps me like identify patterns and yeah, just understand my body and help the people around me understand my body as well, which I think is really important.
Definitely. I think as women, it baffles me that we're not taught more about this. It's
Oh,
in school, we're told, okay, you'll get to an age and you'll start getting a period, and this is how you deal with that period.
yeah.
End of learning.
Literally,
That is
like
it.
that's it. No,
And there's so much like your hormone fluctuations, and
yeah.
even recently I've had to have my coil removed, and
Mhm.
the change in my hormones because now the fake ones that were being pumped into my body are not happening, and the change has been huge. And
Yeah.
I don't really know how to deal with any of that because I've
Yeah.
never done. So I'm trying to research now while it's happening. And one minute I'm like up here, and the next I'm down here. And I think I'm 30 years old. How do I not know more about my own body that I'm living in every
No.
single day?
Yeah, it is
Crazy.
crazy. I hate the education system because a period or like your menstrual cycle is so much more than a week of bleeding. Like it's so much more than that. And the fact that we're not taught that is crazy. But I would recommend a book Period Power. That's really good. I think she goes into like all the different phases and how like your period is like winter, and then she links them all to different seasons, and it's so digestible and yeah, just packed full of everything that we need to know and everything that we should have been taught as well. So yeah, I would recommend that.
Definitely, I'm definitely going to look into it. Recently, I have been trying to align a bit better. And like you said, the business supports that. So I know that in different phases, I'm more creative. So in that creative spell, that's when I do create my Instagram post or I do my more creative things. And then what I can do with all of that is then schedule it for the times in my cycle where I am not that high on energy. And
Yeah.
it would be madness to think that you could ever just go, okay, in that phase, I don't need to do anything because as a job that you have to go out to, you can't just stay in bed because you're not feeling it that day. You have to get up and go. That's part of entrepreneurship, running your own business. You are that driving force. So,
Mhm.
yes, you could say, I'm not doing that today because I don't feel like it. But the only thing that's going to suffer is your business and you ultimately. But by running your life like this, by trying to sync up with your cycle, you can prepare in those times where you have the energy, you have the creativity for those times to protect yourself so that you can just think, actually, I'm going to do the essentials today, and then
Yeah.
I'm going to go curl up with a book or crochet or something like that because I'm not
Yeah.
feeling it. And know that you're not going to be negatively affected because you were able to prepare for it. And I love that because I know
Yeah.
I've been sat in an office with the worst cramps, feeling like I'm going to throw up, and
Yeah.
someone coming up to me and trying to have a conversation, and I'm just like, no, like,
Yeah. That's it. And I
not for
think
this.
like you're almost helping your future self when you know that you're going to have like those lower times. But the 9 to 5 system was like, it was built by men for men. Like they work on a 24-hour cycle, their hormones are 24 hours, one day, and they can show up every day the same because their hormones allow them to. But as women, like we have a 28 to 30 day hormone cycle of like and it really
Yeah.
is like that, and we can't show up every day the same, and it's so unreasonable for us to be asked to do that and to be forced to do that. And like you said, sitting at your desk with cramps is like the worst thing. And I called in sick for work a few weeks ago because my period was so bad, and like I had a little bit of guilt, and then I was like, actually no, like I'm really suffering today and I cannot show up to my job and do a good job, so I'm not going to. And I eventually let go of the guilt, but it is hard. Like, you feel bad. You're like, oh, it's only a period. I should be able to, like, your inner feminist. It's like, fucking crack on with it. Like, you can do this.
Yeah. But
You,
that's the difficulty, I think, like you said, society and the system, that's what we're led to believe because they give us such little education about it. We are brought up believing, oh, it's not that big a deal. Like, if,
yeah,
if it's not worth more than a half an hour lesson in a sex education class when I was in primary school, then it's not okay for me to say, actually, I can't come in today because I can't show up fully for my job as I need to. But if they were giving us more education, if they were putting more time to it, way back when we were younger, we would grow up knowing the importance of it and knowing that actually we are valuing ourselves in that moment and saying, no, we need to take this time to rest and let ourselves rest so that tomorrow or a couple of days from now, I can show up and do my job well. I can show up and be the best person I want to be
yeah,
because I'm not suffering
yeah,
from what's
exactly.
going on. So,
That
yeah.
is something that I like. One of my goals is to, when my business is thriving and all of that, I really want to like go into schools and do workshops and like assemblies and stuff and teach boys and girls because everyone needs to know about this. All about like that, everything that you were just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I think it's hilarious having my husband now. Like his thing is if I'm a bit grumpy, he's like, "Oh, it's that time of the month." And I'm like,
Yawn.
yeah, exactly. And I just think there's so much more to it than it's just that time of the month.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice if you handed me a chocolate bar and a hot water bottle and said, it's okay, you go have a moment, instead of kind of just like, oh, here we go again. So yeah, everyone needs to be educated and it's so important. And
I actually just made a post on things that I tell my partner about my cycle, and I think you should send it to your husband.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, I'm going to find that straight after.
I'll send it to you. Yeah. I'm really lucky. My partner is like very sensitive and I think he's learning with me and like respects that my energy is different on different days. And yeah, he's like so supportive. I'm very, very grateful for him.
That's amazing. I also, something that you said there about like when your business is thriving and what you want to do, and I think it's really important. A lot of us, I speak to a lot of people who are kind of like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. And I kind of think, I wasn't sure this is for me either, but I have goals and I have big dreams of things that I would love to do. And this business is the vehicle to get me
Mhm.
there. And I'm able to like that work with my cycle. I'm able to work with my brain. I'm able to set up a business and therefore a life that supports me so that in a year or so's time, when my business is thriving and I can kind of put it to the side a bit, let it do its thing, I can then go on to do those other things and to go into schools and give them better education on periods and of cycles and of things like that. And for me, it's going in and educating people about neurodivergence and the other paths and the fact you don't have to stay trapped in systems. And a
Yeah.
lot of people shut down the idea of starting something themselves or just taking on a new venture like entrepreneurship or working online because they think, oh, I don't want to be doing that forever. And I think if you spoke honestly to most people in the business, they would say the same thing. This is their vehicle so that they can achieve those big dreams and those big things. And there's so many of us that want to make a big difference in totally different areas.
Yeah.
This is our vehicle to get there. And I think that's really powerful and it's really important for people to know. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. It's
That's okay. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you just said.
good. So the last question I have for you is that if you could speak to the version of yourself last year or a bit longer ago than that, 18 months ago, who was maybe thinking about this business but was unsure, maybe a little bit skeptical, some of those fear or self-doubts were coming in, what would you say to her now?
Honestly, I'd say it's not a scam. It's as it isn't too good to be true, like it is real. And, you know, you won't regret it, I think, is a big one. And yeah, what else would I say? Just fucking do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm so I have no regrets starting my business, and yeah, I just know that like because I've dropped down my days at work as well, so I work 4 days a week at my job now. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't start the business because I know that I have like other ways to make an income and also like my way out as well. So yeah, I think just yeah, it's benefited me in so many ways.
Yeah, it's not just another way to make an income. There's so much more that you get in your life. Your life
Yeah.
benefits on so many different levels from
Yeah.
deciding to change the path that you're on, and it's really powerful. Really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your time and you sharing your story. And I
Thank you.
know that it is definitely going to inspire and help a lot of other people as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dear Future Sam. I hope this conversation gave you a little spark of what's possible and a reminder that you are never too much, you are never too late, and you are never alone. If this resonated, I'd love for you to share it. Tag me or send it to someone who needs to hear it. And if you're curious about this business model and what it could look like for you, my inbox is always open. I'll pop a link in the show notes with more information too. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think. Speak soon.